What's good, guys? The Misfits back at it. You got me, Noah.
You got Yvonne.
We're all here trying to spit the juice as always. We got an interesting topic for you guys. Something that Yvonne's been looking for to explicit on. He'll let you know about it in a few. So I'm gonna let him start it for now.
The topic for today will be, well, I can't even word this out, but it's basically we're just gonna talk about grinding on this world, like going so hard and like working so hard, and then end up losing your soul. Like, what's the whole point of that, right? So, truly, the subject is grinding for wind. Like, you're basically chasing the wind, right? And what I mean by that is that too much often we see people like they're grinding, they're working every day, they're working overtime, they're I don't know, they're doing whatever they have to do to be successful on this earth, right, in life, which is not a bad thing, which is good. But at the end of the day, they're doing all this stuff and they're not right with God. So what's the whole point of that, right? And what I mean by that is that it's simple. Like Mark chapter 8 verse 36. What is the whole point of gaining the whole world if you lose your soul? And people don't understand that. People think that, okay, you can play around with God, you can put God aside and do whatever you need to do and grind and whatever, and then you'll be good. The thing is, you'll be good on this earth, and then after that, when you die, you're gonna go to hell. What's the whole point of that, right? What's the whole point of having so much money, millions of dollars and everything, and being happy on this earth, and then losing your own soul? Because one thing we don't understand is that our soul is forever. This earth will pass away. Like you're most likely not even gonna pass 100 years old or even 90 years old. Maybe not even 80. A lot of people die like 80 years old, like max. And like to live over 80 years old, that's like a huge blessing, right? And what's the whole point of getting the whole world for 80 years of pleasure and then dying and suffering eternally? There's too much people like not taking God seriously and like grinding all day, grinding all the time, doing whatever they need to do, and like I don't know, they're going off and everything. They're going off in school, they're going off in work, and in whatever they're trying to do for their future, but they forget God, and God's not there. There's no point of that, because if you grind, it has to be for one reason and one reason only. You can only grind to make God happy. And what I mean by that is not only by coming here and preaching and doing I don't know, whatever, I don't know, like preaching or I don't know, doing church stuff or whatever. No, I'm not talking about working for God in that way only. You can work God in so many ways. Example, if someone was a businessman, I would say, and they make a lot of money, right? They do trades or anything like that, and they make a lot of money. And what do you do with your money? Do you go buy fancy cars? You go spend it on things that you don't need, on buying a lot of houses for yourself, and you leave the poor suffering over there, and you don't like think of blessing other people or blessing people around you? See, that there's a purpose to why we're doing everything. And if you're grinding with a purpose for you just to be happy on this earth and to satisfy your own flesh, then your destiny is going to be hell. It's eternal fire, and there's no other way to put it. And there's a lot of people that are so lost, so deceived, thinking that money will save them. Money can't save you. This world, it can't save you. Anything that this world has to offer, it'll all pass away. It's all temporary. Get that clear in your head. It's basic common sense, but people just don't understand that.
After this life, we're not gonna have you're not gonna see money or any of that stuff in heaven or in hell.
No,
it's only for the world. You guys use it to please your flesh, knowing that not even knowing that your flesh and your body is gonna pass away itself.
Trust me.
So
like that's so sad. It's so sad. Like, how can you grind so hard and put God second when God is the one who created you? He's the one who made you who you are today. Who's even giving you the breath of life or even that strength to grind? But you're not even doing it for Him. You're doing it for yourself to satisfy your own flesh. And there's no other way to put this. But if you live a lifestyle like that, then your destination is hell. And what's going to be the point that you're going to be burning in hell and you're going to ask God, oh, well, God, well, I used to grind. Okay, even until you used to grind, but you didn't care about me. You didn't follow my word. You didn't follow my commandments. All you did is grind it and you forgot about me. You put me second. And if you put God second, it's over. You're not going anywhere in life.
What I want to say is that, like, grinding and all that, like, we're not saying it's wrong. Like, it's a blessing to have the ability to grind, because some people are so lazy where they don't want to do anything. They just want to stay home. They just want to chill. That's not right. You're not supposed to be lazy. Like, grinding, it's something it's actually big, and that can only come from God, because when it comes to grinding, our main purpose was to grind for God. God created us. He made us who we are today. He didn't make us just so we can pay bills and I don't know, like whatever you're grinding for money, to have all this fame and all that stuff it's a win. It's not going anywhere. So there's really no point to grinding in for that purpose. But understand that every good is from God, from God Himself. It wasn't for your own self that you want to grind. Like every good comes from God, every bad comes from the devil, and there's no in between. And if you're gonna use that to please your own flesh, then you're going downhill. That's basically what we're trying to say. If I could use an example, I remember like even reading the Bible. I think it was in Ezekiel when Lucifer himself, he had the gift of music, and he used it in a way, people like God gave him the gift of making music and such. Like he had like the most juice for the music and everything, right? So what at a point what Lucifer did, he used it for commerce. And like obviously once you use it for commerce, you're not gonna use that for God, right? So once that happened, then God got rid of him. If you look at the people nowadays, you see them grinding for money, for fame. All these NBA players, you see LeBron James, you see Steph Curry, you see Tiger Woods, you see Cam Newton, all these athletes, they're all grinding, but what are they grinding for? To make more money, to have more fame. Like it's more than just buying your mom a house and all that. I'm not saying that's wrong, but like once you grind, like for example, if you keep grinding for money, then your mind is gonna go to another level, bro. Like it's not gonna stop. You're gonna want more and more and more. And God, he doesn't appreciate that, because God is the one that gave us the ability to even grind. Because if it doesn't come from God, then you can't receive anything. Because the devil, he can't give you those things. He can't offer you those things. The devil, he says certain stuff like he'll give you money and all that, but he steals it from other people. Because the other people, they allow the devil to come into their lives in order for the devil to take the money, and then they steal it, they give it out to someone else. That's exactly how the devil works. And if you're gonna use grinding for that purpose, then that's a way of pushing yourself away from God. And it's something that's really hard to understand, but you gotta understand the clear message that's on this. If it's not for God, then what's the point of doing it? Because the Bible says in itself that in everything we do, we have to do it for God. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you have to do it for God regardless. Some people are just doing it to be rich at a certain point, to be rich, and then what's gonna be after that? Some people do it to receive a BMW, a Lamborghini. What's gonna be like? What's coming after that? You gotta people, like you want to buy a mansion, like you reach your goal, but what's after that?
Take it in everything in life. Doesn't matter whatever you get, nothing can fill that void in your heart except for Jesus Christ. That's the only true peace. If you're grinding for more money, you get more money. You're gonna want more and more and more, and you're still not satisfied. You want a new house, and you get that big house that you wanted. You're gonna want a bigger house. That's how life works, and no one can tell me otherwise, because that's how our human hearts are. We can't be filled and like truly like feel peace if we don't have Jesus Christ in our hearts, because there's always something that's wrong. There's always something that we need. And you the only way you can get rid of that is by Jesus Christ. You have to accept Him in your heart. And there's some people that claim to be Christians that claim to follow God, and you look at their lifestyles, it's completely different. Like you can't call yourself a Christian if you're out there like bumping and blasting secular music that opposes your faith all the time. You can't call yourself a Christian if all you do is expose your body and allow the opposite sex to fall into lust, into sexual immorality in the brain. You can't call yourself a Christian if you don't even take the time to read your Bible or even take the time to pray every day. You can't call yourself a Christian and do that. And those are the same people that are gonna come and like get mad at like stuff like, oh, you can't grind. Oh, like, what are you trying to tell us you can't grind? I'm not saying you can't grind. It's simple, but everyone wants to twist up everything because they don't like the idea behind whatever we're saying, so they're gonna come and twist up whatever we're saying, of course, right?
Some people, they have the love of money. Some people, they have the love of like buying all these fancy cars and having all these planes, all these houses. What we're really trying to say is that you can grind, yes, okay. Like there's nothing wrong with grinding.
What are you doing it for?
But what are you doing it for? Because us human beings, they love to please their flesh. That's the number one thing. There's a lot of Christians today, they debate between the spirit and the flesh, and they'll go to the flesh directly because that's what pleases them at that certain situation or whatever. So people, what they want to grind for nowadays is obviously not for God, but it's to please their own flesh. And if you're going to please your own flesh, you're gonna put yourself away from God. If you're gonna grind so much to please your own flesh and forget about God, then what's really the point of that? Like Yvonne said, some people they wake up, they can't even pray to God. They can't read their Bibles, but as soon as they wake up, they want to go and grind directly for money. They put other things first in front of God. But when the Bible clearly states that you must put God first, and then everything else will be added onto it. But some people don't want to look at it that way.
And not even that. Like, it's not even in the aspect of just grinding for money. The way some people grind for school, they put school above God. Okay, you're in post-secondary. Okay, that's cool, right? Who allowed you to be in post-secondary? God did. You're in post-secondary, but it doesn't matter. That's not a reason to put God second. Nothing in this world is a reason to put God second. Because what are you really doing it for? You're going to school to get a job and to get money, right? You can't tell me otherwise. Okay, yeah, education, yeah, but the real point behind everything is to get money, to survive and to live and to do better in life, right? But how are you gonna put that in front of God? So even when we're coming with work or with school, all those grinding and everything like that, or even making I don't know, whatever you're doing to make it in life, if you put something in front of God, if you give something more time than you give God time, then it automatically becomes an idol. And what do I always say? I always say God hates idols. So there's no way God's not gonna punish you, and we really gotta fix up when it comes to that, because many times we put way too much things above God. You can't put work, you can't put school, you can't put nothing above God. God has to be your main priority. God has to have all your time. All these things will pass away. They'll all pass away. This shirt I'm wearing, the pants I have right now, all the watches, all the things I have, they'll all pass away. It's not gonna come with me when I die. It's not gonna come with you when you die. It's all chasing the wind. There's only one purpose to this life. There's only one point, and that's to make Jesus Christ happy. And if you're not doing that, then your life makes no sense. It has no sense.
This is something that some Christians have to understand, because there's a lot of people nowadays that want to call themselves Christians, but then they forget the whole purpose of living this life. Like I said in the beginning, we didn't come into this life to pay bills or to grind for money or to grind so hard in school to reach a certain level in whatever career that you want. We didn't come in a world for this. If you call yourself a Christian, you must understand that we came into this world to go and make disciples. Let's not put that aside. You can't put that aside. That has to be your number one thing as a Christian. But some people don't want that because they're too into their schools, too into their studies. They're too into grinding to make more and more and more money. Because once you receive money, then you'll get pretty amped. Like you're gonna want to go for more and more. Once you're in school and you put in work in school, you're gonna want to be there longer and longer. Like, some people are tired of it, some people aren't. They're different, but the goal behind it, there's really no point towards it. And if you call yourself a Christian, understand that we're in this world for God. We're not of this world. We're not of this world. That's one thing we have to understand. But some people, they like to indulge in this world and forget that if you're from the world, then you're an enemy towards God. Understand that we're in this life for Jesus Christ and Jesus Christ himself, to go and make disciples in all the nations. But some people, they're too busy waking up. They go to school, they grind for money, and then that's it.
They go to sleep.
Then they just go to sleep. They spend all their time on social media. They don't want to go out. They just chill home. They don't even evangelize to one person. They don't read their Bible. They don't read one verse. They just chill. They'll do anything else to please the flesh, but to do something that pleases God for at least 2 minutes of your time in 24 hours in one day. That's crazy. That's sad.
Remember,
because God created us, and that's gonna make him sad. So like the way we're viewing it, like it's pretty saddening seeing how some people live their lives. But imagine God, because these emotions are 10 times more than us, man. More than us. It's crazy.
Don't forget, God, he sees everything that happens on this world. He'll hold everyone accountable for every act that you posed that was in secret or even in front of people during judgment. During the time of your judgment, you're not gonna be with it's not gonna be you being judged with school. It's gonna be you only. It's not gonna be you getting judged with your Mercedes or your BMW or anything like that. It's gonna be you and you only in front of God, and he'll judge you. He'll show you everything that you've done, the message that you just heard right now, and you're not gonna have anything to say about it. Nothing at all. You're just gonna be there, and God's gonna ask you, why did you do it? You're gonna tell God. You're not gonna lie to God. You're gonna tell him, well, honestly, I wanted my cars, I wanted my money, I wanted my own pleasure, whatever my flesh wanted over you, and he'll tell you, depart from me. Now, what's the whole point of that? And there's too much people that clown around and that are too scared and that are cowards, that they would even be scared to preach such a message because they don't want to get like the negative feedback from other people. But we don't care about people's feedback. If it doesn't correspond to the word of God, then we don't want it.
We're not here to please
We're not here to please other people or to make friends or anything like that, right? We're just here to speak truth. So if you don't put God first, if you put grinding in front of God in any aspect, school, money, work, anything like that, or I don't know, making your music, making anything like that, anything that you put over God, even sports, you're done.
God's not first, then what's really the point? Like, that's something you should really ask yourself. Like, please, you want to grind so hard for a Rolls Royce or a BMW or an Aston Martin. Once you receive the Aston Martin, then you come to ask yourself, like, what's next?
What's next?
Because imagine if you died as soon as you get your car. Like, what was really the point in living your whole life for that one car or like whatever you wanted in your life? Like, there's no point. Some people, they're striving in their lives for another human being. What's the point? What's the point of that? What if you got the human being and then after you die, like, what comes after that? You're gonna be all that striving. It was all for nothing. You could have been doing something for God. You could have been saved, but you wanted to waste your time to please your own flesh, to strive to please your own self instead of pleasing God. Like, once you receive all those things, like, what's next? Where are you gonna go after you die? You're not gonna be in heaven or in hell with your BMW just chilling. Like, all these, you guys need to understand that everything in this world is all vanity. All these things, they're all gonna pass away. That's when you have to put in your thoughts. Because we're not gonna keep these things up, like in the afterlife, in heaven or in hell or whatever. We're not gonna keep those things. That's when you guys have to understand. Because you guys, like, in a way, you guys make yourself look foolish. Right? You guys make foolish in front of God. You guys saying, "Oh, I got my new whip," and after you die, like, all that whip is gonna belong to someone else.
Yeah, it's gonna go to someone else.
What's the point of that, yo?
And you're gonna be burning in hell while someone's driving your whip. There's no point of that. There's no point of that. Don't ever forget that. All of us, we all have a due date when we're gonna die. We're all gonna die one day. There's no human being that's gonna live on this earth and not die. We all have a day when we're gonna die. Don't forget that, because a lot of people think that we're eternal, and don't forget that death can catch you by surprise. So don't let death catch you by surprise. Be ready, be in your word, be watchful, be putting God first, and that's when your life will truly go in peace, and that's when you'll truly start doing things to actually please God. And let's not forget this, okay? There's always motives, and God always tests the motives. So whenever we're grinding, when we're doing something, God knows why we're doing it in our hearts. He sees if you're truly doing it for good or if you're doing it for evil. Anything that you're doing that's only to please yourself and that's only to make you like look good or make you do good in life, and you're putting other people aside and you're not taking care of the poor, the people that are lacking and things like that, you're automatically in the wrong.
What I'm basically trying to say is that, like, there's different ways in this life to please God. Like I said, we're in this world to please God, right? Understand ways to please Him, and ways to please Him is to be in your word, to stay watchful and everything. You gotta do God's commandments. You gotta, like, in order to love God, that's how you know God's people. They follow His commandments, they obey His commandments, and that's what's the most important thing in a Christian's life right now. Because you can't do your own thing. If you do your own thing, then how are you really living for God? You know, that's one thing I want to get you guys thinking there. So,
and one thing I want to say is that if you truly love God, it'll show. If you truly follow God and you truly follow His word, it'll show. And when you're going to be doing whatever you're going to do in your life, you're going to do it to please God, and you're going to do it to help others and to truly have a loving heart. But if you claim to love God and you're doing things only for your pleasure, then you don't truly love God.
And understand that God, He sees your heart, right? So regardless of what you're doing, you can't fool Him, you know? Like I always see, you can't outsmart God. He sees your heart. He sees exactly what you're doing. You can scheme the biggest plan to get God not to know what you're doing, and He'll still figure out what you're doing, because it's God, omniscient, omnipotent. You can't fool the man. So it's one thing you guys gotta know, man. That's all I have to say, though.
God bless you guys. Thank you for tuning in. This is a harsh message, but it had to be.
It's hard, but we had to let it go, right? And there's something that has to get you guys going, because we don't want you guys to follow vanity, and then after a point, there's like what Yvonne said in Mark 8:36. What's the point of living this whole life and losing your own soul? Because the earth itself is gonna pass away, and where's your soul gonna be? Is it gonna be in heaven, or is it gonna be in hell? If you were to die today, are you gonna be in heaven, or are you gonna be in hell? So you have to know, if you live this life today, you have to please God. You have to love Him, and by loving God, it's not by your mouth. It's by your actions. That's what God sees. He sees your heart. So we encourage you guys to keep following Him and keep striving for Him and Him only. And then once you follow Him, once you put Him first, everything else will be added on later on. I guarantee you that.
True happiness.
True happiness.
Not wanting something and then wanting more and more and never feeling filled.
So we encourage you guys to do that, and you guys just be blessed, man. More videos coming in soon. We won't be as late as we usually are. So.
Uses like that I received to imitate your perfection. And if I fall, at least I'm in your protection. We're your sons and your daughters. Help us fight. We just want.
So help me as I redirect the praises for me